Hello viewers, welcome to Jan Shakti Network. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping met in Tianjin on August 30, 2025, the world was watching closely. This was their first high-level interaction since the disengagement agreements that calmed the line of actual control after years of tension following the Galwan clashes in 2020. For two of Asia's largest nations, home to over 2.8 billion people, expectations were high. Many hoped the meeting would reset relations and open a new chapter in Asian diplomacy. But the outcome was modest. Both sides reaffirmed peace, pledged to continue dialogue, and announced an expert group under the working mechanism for consultation and coordination to work on particular step for broader delimitation. President Xi summed up China's position. The boundary issue should not define the overall China-India relationship. We should place it in an appropriate position and focus on the big picture of the bilateral ties and cooperation in the international arena. On the surface, this was conciliatory, but beneath it lays a deeper challenge. India's foreign policy remains locked in confrontation rather than cooperation, militarization rather than development, dependence rather than sovereignty. According to the MEA press release, August 30, 2025, and Chinese Foreign Ministry briefings, the key points were reaffirming peace and tranquility. Both leaders expressed satisfaction with troop disengagement and calm on the border, commitment to a mutually acceptable solution. India repeated the phrase fair, reasonable, and mutually acceptable solution, leaving space for continued negotiations. Endorsing the Special Representatives Dialogue, NSA Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will continue leading talks. Broader relationship focus. C. Stress. China and India should not allow differences to become disputes. In other words, disagreements must not overshadow cooperation in trade, investment, and global governance. Expert group under WMCC, a technical level body, will now study border delimitation and incremental step rather than a breakthrough. In short, Tianjin offered a courteous reset, not a historic shift. So why didn't India push for something bigger? From non-alignment to Washington's orbit. India once stood for strategic autonomy. During the Cold War, it led the non-aligned movement with a clear principle: avoid becoming a pawn in greater power rivalries. Today, that legacy seems broken. Over the past decade, India has tied itself closely to USA-led security frameworks. LEMOA 2016, COMCASA 2018, and BECA 2020, giving the US access to Indian bases and sensitive data. Joining the Quad and embracing the Indo-Pacific strategy aimed at containing China. Participating in Malabar and other US-led military exercises. That isn't strategic autonomy. It is alignment with a declining superpower. India risks becoming a frontline state in the Western geopolitics, sacrificing sovereignty and development priorities in the process. Despite hard talk on China, trade tells another story. India-China trade hit $135 billion in 2024. India imports critical goods like electronics, APIs, and solar components from China. Indian corporates remain tied to Chinese supply chains despite official rhetoric of decoupling. Meanwhile, defense spending ballooned to rupees 6.21 lakh crore in 2025, even as unemployment and rural distress deepen. The winner, Western arms companies and Indian oligarchs, not the common citizens. Xi's message in Tianjin fits a long-term pattern: prioritize development over confrontation. Unlike the Western's zero-sum model, China emphasizes connectivity and mutual benefit. The Belt and Road Initiative builds infrastructure for developing nations. The AIIB and BRICS new development banks offer finance without IMF-style conditionalities. Platforms like SCO and BRICS Plus promote multilateralism free from Western dominance. China's domestic model reinforces this approach. 800 million lifted out of poverty, unmatched infrastructure growth from high-speed rail to digital networks, global leadership in renewable energy and electric vehicles. India, by contrast, is selling public assets to billionaires and foreign investors while widening inequality. Within BRICS, India and China could jointly shape a new economic order based on cooperation rather than rivalry. Together, their weight could uplift Asia, Africa, and Latin America, turning BRICS into a pillar of a multipolar world where development, not militarization, defines power. The SCO and BRICS Plus offer Asia and the global South a chance to build a world free from Western hegemony. China drives these efforts with trade corridors, energy projects, and financial alternatives. India, however, hesitates. It attends summits but blocks initiatives like the Belt and Road under US pressure. The cost of this hesitation is high: lost access to infrastructure finance, exclusion from regional supply chains, growing isolation in Asian diplomacy. As Russia, Central Asia, and the Middle East deepens ties with China, India risks becoming an outlier, trapped in Washington's orbit. The Tianjin meeting showed what is possible, but possibilities don't make policy. India faces two choices. One, double down on militarization, deepen US ties, and stay locked in rivalry with China. Two, reclaim an independent Asian policy, engage China as an equal, and focus on regional integration. The first path leads to dependency. The second opens door to partnership, technology sharing, and stronger bargaining power. India need not copy China, but it can learn. Use state-led industrial policy instead of blind market faith. Invest in infrastructure instead of privatizing assets. Build welfare system as foundation for growth, not corporate giveaways. The Tianjin summit could have been a turning point. Instead, it became a photo-op, constrained by India's insecurities and elite ambitions. The tragedy is not that India and China have differences. It is that India refuses to imagine an Asian future independent from Western dominance. The dream of an Asian century will remain a mirage if India clings to militarization and dependency. The road to sovereignty does not run through Washington. It begins with New Delhi finding the courage to encourage Beijing as a partner, not an adversary. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest incidents. Hit the bell icon to never miss an update. We will see you next time with more news that matters. Stay informed, stay safe.